Welcome back, everybody, to the Renaissance Humanism podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be doing something a bit different. I'm going to be talking about Eleanor of Castile, written by Sara. The full title of the book is Eleanor of Castile, the Shadow Queen. I believe this is going to be interesting for you, the readers, the viewers, if you like to read these kind of books, history books. It talks about the life of Eleanor of Castile. She was the consort of King Edward the First of England, who ruled from 1272 until 1307. His wife Eleanor died in 12 the early 1290s. What makes her so interesting and significant is because they were both married when Edward was around 15, 14 years old. Eleanor, she was around 12, 13 years old, but you'll agree around 13, 14. What makes it so interesting? Because it's believed, what the author was forward in the book, that Edward the First got his inspiration to actually conquer Wales, and the tactics that he used in that war and his wars in Scotland was inspired by King Ferdinand III of Castile, that was Eleanor Payne's father. And the way the Castilians fought wars, they were the central kingdom within the actual kingdoms of Spain. It was the most powerful kingdom of Spain at the time, and always was, at least technically. That's another matter. But the Castilians, what they did when they defeated the Muslims, they built castles. That's where it gets the name Castile. So they will build castles in occupied territories. Now you know to actually hold those lands as well. Edward, when he conquered Wales in the 1270s and 1280s, he started building castles to actually hold and control the land as a means of wealth protection, and he used it to great effect. Though some historians do believe that the castle building itself wasn't worth the actual conquest, overall costs, and after that left his treasury depleted when he was fighting wars in Scotland and France in his later life. From 1294 until 1298, King Edward the First, he was fighting Scotland, he was fighting France, he was fighting in Flanders and in the Duchy of Aquitaine, just southern France. So he was fighting on war on 3 or 4 fronts to actually maintain his conquest in Wales, continental holdings, and his interest in Scotland, with the Scots going to alliance with the French in 1294. See, that led Edward to begin his first invasion of Scotland in the following year in 1295, which I think is fairly important because uh, Edward the First, the reason for his invasion of Scotland was because the Scottish were making alliance with France, was threatening the national security of the Kingdom of England, and that was the only option available to him. He didn't have a choice. He had to actually conquer Scotland. A lot of Scottish nationalists today, a lot of people are aware of this. That's why dates in history are so important. That Edward the First, he didn't set out to conquer Scotland because John Bailey, who was the King of Scots in the 1290s, because he sided with France, Edward had no choice but to depose King John of Scotland and pay that loans himself. He hadn't any option. As for Eleanor herself, um, she was very much a businesswoman. She helped Edward out financially as well, due to the English crown being skint and dirt poor. The annual income of Henry III, who reigned from 12, no, sorry about that, from 1216 until 1272 was £50,000 a year, compared to St. Louis of France, who was king from 1226 until 1270. He had at least £100,000 a year from his own income. So, in terms of costs and what they had available, the kings of France were much more richer than the Plantagenet kings of England, who reigned England from 1154 until 1483. 5 with the first defeat at the Battle of Bosworth Field, and that's why Eleanor Aquitaine, she became what we would understand it as a property developer. She also took on debt as well. She gave out money and collected money. She had her own bailiffs, own knights that she actually had in her household as well. And she was a very financially orientated woman that know business, woman that know how to develop properties and the sales and acquisition of lands. So again, it's no reason makes it very interesting as well. And also, it's believed that she provided her husband with books as well, provided with knowledge on her father's conquests within the Spanish Peninsula. Or the war was waged as well. It's also believed that Edward the First, beyond his Welsh campaign, the Scottish campaigns, he often kept his army supplied by ship. That shows some innovation for that time period. How to try to establish supply lines again, a form of innovation and sophistication, wholly lacking from medieval armies of the time period. I do hope you give The Shadow Queen a good read. It's interesting, it's informative. It tells you about Eleanor of Castile. It explains about her relationship with King Edward the First. And, it highlights what inspirations have inspired Edward to bring in his conquests. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and peace out.